I went to a local boxing gym as a tryout to see if I want to get a membership there. And it wasn't what I expected, but not for the reason I might have expected. It's one of those places where you can tell that it's all regulars. You know, it's a few people who already are very experienced. Now, what I was hoping for would be to get instruction. The way the training was done, I could only really follow along because I already had a grasp of the basics. If I didn't already know the fundamentals of footwork and punching and all that, I would have been pretty lost because it was done mostly as a circuit training. You know, there were different stations with different bags and stuff, different equipment. And everybody would go through, and there's the instructor would just tell people what punches to do, basically, or what movement patterns, rather than teaching you how it's done. And you know, that's not a criticism, by the way. I'm not going to mention the name of the gym anyway. But the thing is, it's great if you already know what you're doing and know what to work on. You already are familiar with the form and everything, and then you can get fantastic. But in fact, it was a great workout. There were several options locally that I considered. And I was leaning toward this one because I figured if I want to learn proper form, that would be the place. But as it turns out, not really, because it's clearly mainly for people who already know what they're doing. Like, I don't know the exact footwork. I'm just using a lot of HEMA footwork and adapting it to boxing just by looking at how boxers do it. Most exercise to me is really not fun. I just do it because I feel like I should. The motivation comes from aversion to the negative consequences of not doing it rather than, you know, positive reinforcement from doing the thing. And this was actually pretty enjoyable. I was fully expecting after that workout to barely be able to move today. I was expecting all my joints to be stiff and super sore. My body is sore, top to bottom, but not in a oh, I'm completely messed up, not in an injured kind of way. And even though the gym was full of super fit, experienced guys who are significantly younger than me, I was able to keep up much better than I expected. I guess that's how you know you've started to get old. If you're like, I exercised yesterday and I can actually move today. So even if that's in and of itself, you know, it's not amazing performance by any means, but it shows me that there's some hope, so to speak, because I've definitely gone through phases where I felt like it's all hopeless, pretty much. I'm doing significantly better now than I did just a few months ago. That's good. That's progress.
And now I'm paying for it. Yay.
I'm not making this to complain and be like, oh, woe is me. But I just find it kind of hilarious. Frustrating as hell, but also hilarious irony, you know? The video quality is worse than usual, but I look like garbage anyway, so this is probably an improvement. So here's what happened. After I went to a local boxing gym for a workout, and I was all surprised the next day that I was doing so well. Comparatively, I figured I'd give myself one rest day, and then I try another gym. Sorry about the random cuts. I'm editing out the coughing and brain failing to load. I went to another gym that does kickboxing workouts. That one was even more intense, maybe just because I was still tired and a day wasn't really enough to recover. And then the day after, I woke up with a sore throat. So I was just like, okay, maybe the air in the bedroom was too dry, or I slept poorly, or whatever. It didn't go away over the course of the day, but I was still in denial. And then the day after, on Saturday, that's where it really hit. And I really envy those people who are just like, oh, I got a cold, I'm feeling a bit under the weather, I got the sniffles. I mean, when I look at how to distinguish a cold from a flu, the symptoms overlap, of course, but
usually a degree of severity. And looking at that, I don't know if I've ever had a cold by that logic, because it's always like extreme fatigue and massive aches, muscle pains and all that. Dizziness that's not even listed for either of them, apparently. Chills. The second night I was shaking and shivering so much from the chills. I used 2 blankets and had a third heated blanket on top, and I was still shivering uncontrollably. Do any of you have that issue too, that like every time you get sick you're just completely dysfunctional for 4 days at least? One time it started like this, and I was just like, well, screw it, I gotta go to work, and I literally blacked out in the shower and just woke up on the floor, and at that point I realized I can't make it. Like if on my way to work I faint in the middle of traffic, I'm done for, you know. And another time, it got so bad, we tried to get to the hospital. I just needed to get to the elevator in the apartment block, and then from the elevator to the car. Didn't make it. I literally collapsed in the elevator. So an ambulance came and got me to the hospital. I do have to wonder, why can't I get sick like a normal person? Why does it always have to be such a dramatic event where I'm just completely destroyed and lose several days worth of work? You know, I tried to force myself to do some editing, but when I tried to focus on it, I got dizzy and my head was totally messed up. As if someone is trying to smother you with a pillow while occasionally hitting you on the head with a paddle, you know, through the pillow. Anyway, so I'm curious, what about you folks? Like, I can't be the only person experiencing this kind of thing, right? I wish there was something to be done about it, but doctors basically just shrug, like, you know, everybody has a different immune system and all that. It's not that I get sick more often than the average person. From what I read, the average is to get sick like twice a year, 2 or 3 times. And for me, before COVID, it was generally once a year, sometimes twice, and if I was unlucky, 3 times. One good thing about COVID, I went for over 3.5 years without getting sick once. That was nice. But of course it meant, you know, being masked up and, you know, not getting too close to people. When having a group workout, it's not a thing. And particularly very intense, exhausting workouts apparently tank your immune function. Like regular moderate exercise improves your immune system, but very high intensity, exhausting workouts apparently compromise it for, what was it, like a day or so? Or a few hours? I forgot the specifics, but that makes sense. But I can't imagine that everybody always gets sick as soon as they start exercising hard, because who would do that? Because it's literally like 2 days of hard workout and then being completely dysfunctional for 4 days. I mean, really, you know, being sick for longer than that, but it's literally like 2 steps forward, 4 steps back. Like, how's sustainable? Not that I expect to get sick again immediately the next time I do it. Maybe I shouldn't even say that. I'm trying not to let it discourage me. I guess the smart thing to do would be to reduce the intensity of the exercise, at least in the beginning. But to me, it's either on or not. You know, like if I'm exercising, I want to be working hard. Anyway, so I figured it might be kind of fun to see that that contrast. You know, me going from being positive for once to immediately getting punched in the face by life. But then I'm also gonna pick myself back up and keep marching on. So there's just something about the irony. By the way, one thing I've learned whenever people tell you about how this and that diet boosts their immune system or whatever, it's all bullshit. And also vitamin C supplementation, it doesn't do a thing. You can't boost your immune system. Like genetically, you're predisposed toward a certain immune response, and some people are immunocompromised. And I suppose if you were super sheltered as a kid and never got sick, then you might be more susceptible. Stuff like that. But what I can really tell is, at least for me, diet and lifestyle, I mean, as said, regular moderate exercise is supposed to improve your immune function, but it also makes you more likely to catch something because you're in a gym environment, which is very germ-rich. But really, for me, the one thing that helps to not get sick is to wear masks and stay away from people. No shit, right? It's like, don't get exposed. That's how you don't get sick. But that's not really an option if you don't want to be a total hermit, which I kind of do, but at the same time, with stuff like this, practicing a martial art requires other people. And exercising is definitely also more effective in a group. Hopefully I can shake this off pretty soon and then get back into the grind. Thanks for watching. Hope you're doing better. Let me know what your experience has been.